our international correspondent, Orla Gearin, and a warning her report contains some distressing images.
Survivors emerge from the wreckage after what Ukraine says was a Russian airstrike on a maternity hospital. The local governor says pregnant women are among the wounded. There was supposed to be a ceasefire in place to let civilians flee in safety. Instead, this. Here, the massive crater just outside the building. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky called it an atrocity and said there were children under the wreckage.
They wanted to take the lives of our children, our women, our doctors, who've been fighting for 14 days of war for the lives of every child who came under fire from enemy weapons.
Russia's response: we do not fire on civilian targets. Tell that to those we met fleeing the Russian bombardment of the town of Irpin, just outside the capital, Kiev. Many had to be carried from here today. They survived the shelling. Now they must survive life cast adrift as a refugee. And a staggering 1 million of Ukraine's children have been uprooted in just 14 days since Russia invaded. The United Nations calls this a dark historical first.
Well, hour after hour, people keep leaving Irpin. The town is being emptied of its residents. And it's not just happening here. There are other cities in Ukraine being bombarded by the Russians where civilians are being driven out. This is just one corner of the fastest growing refugee crisis in Europe since World War II.
Many managed to walk away from Irpin today to relative safety outside. We saw these Ukrainian soldiers at the edge of town. Let's go, he says. We have no time. And time may be running out for Irpin. Russian forces have advanced inside. Here's a little of what's in store if they try to get down the road to the capital. Orla Gearin, BBC.
All right, Shalom. This is Hara 1 by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. All right, before I start every video, I want to say Kal, Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Harakar Kodash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. And Shalom to you, Akim and Akwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. And Shalom to the Lions Den. All right. Yeah, man, all hell breaking loose over there in Europe, all right? Western Europe and Eastern Europe, or mainly over there in Eastern Europe, which would be called Ukraine and Russia, all right? So now, what you're looking at on the screen is a map of Ukraine, all right? You can see it's really on the borders of Western Europe, all right, which would make it a European continent. Country, but Russia, Ukraine used to be a part of the Soviet Union until they became sovereign. All right, they became sovereign, created their own language, their own banking system, all kind of shit, own school system. So Russia is seeking to take that Ukraine back, and that goes to Ezekiel 38 when the Lord said He's going to turn Russia back and put hooks into their jaws and take control of Russia. So who's controlling the mind of Russia? Putin right now? The Most High, man. We're seeing it. We're seeing the power of the Lord controlling them, bringing them forth, just like He did with Cyrus the Great. All right, just like He did with Xerxes. All right, controlling the mind of Xerxes, dealing with Esther. But so now I'm gonna read this couple articles I got, real brief, and you can see there's two sides to every coin and two sides to every story. And you know, like Esau their motto is this: the devil is in the details. So the deception is in the details. So if they can manipulate the details, they can manipulate other people's perception of what's going on through the media, through the internet, through social media. All right, these videos, propaganda, they push it right in your face to demonize Russia. The Russians are Edomites as well, so they can be deceiving too. But when it comes to military or war, they straightforward. They're like, yo, listen, we're not striking children. We don't strike civilians. But as you heard last week, Russia put it out and said, yeah, man, you got these cowards over there that's hiding in children's buildings, that's hiding in schools, that's hiding in children's hospitals, that's hiding in civilians' homes, right, the military. And he said anywhere they're at, if they choose to hide in a damn daycare, that daycare gonna get destroyed. That was what Russia said. He said it's on them, that's their fault. So as from what I've researched and done my due diligence, from what I see, there was not supposed to be children in that hospital. So they said, Russia said sometime this week, you had Ukrainian soldiers that went into that area and cleared out that hospital supposedly, and they started shooting from that hospital, and that's why Russia bombed it. If it was bombed by Russia, So Russia like, yo, we don't shoot civilians. They don't shoot civilians. But these Ukrainian soldiers that they're going to war with, they're hiding amongst the civilians. That's why in every video you'll see the damn Ukrainian soldiers. They're always around the civilians. All right, instead of getting away from them and going to war with Russia. See, that's when Russia dropped that mega bomb on them. See, Russia tried to go in there with ground troops and didn't fail, but they got held up. So they said, yo, they started losing too many soldiers, 500 something soldiers. And so what they're doing now is they're going with airstrikes. And now the airstrikes are in place. You got Kiev or Ukraine president, which is an actor, but hey, just like Trump. Now you got Ukraine calling for a no-fly zone by NATO. All right, to put a no-fly zone in place so Russia cannot fly over Ukraine with planes. They said if not, then Russia's going to put a no-fly zone in place. So that's where we're at, man. The Lord is bringing them, locking them together like two pit bulls, man. The West, you can see it right on the screen. All right, Western Europe and Eastern Europe, Eurasia, and the Lord put a burden right in the midst of them. All right, and that's going to lead them into this war. That's why the scriptures say the least of them shall draw them out. So yeah, man. And what you're seeing here on the screen is the Russian military control in the burgundy or red. I'm a little colorblind, but I think it's burgundy. Now, this here, all right, the color that's in the reddish color, the red color, deep red color, that is showing where Russia has already taken. All right, so what we're seeing on media, you'd think Russia done went all the way through and took over already. Nope, they just slowly picking away at it. And now they're right here. That little arm sticking out right there, that's the foothold they got. And they're trying to go into the next place. That's why you hear about Kiev, I think it is today. You're going to hear about that this week, tomorrow, and in the next couple of days. This next place they're taking before they go into Kiev. All right. So they're taking it little by little, so now they can attack from the north, from the east, and from the south, and kind of from the west right here. All right. So they're going to take all of this, man. So that's what Russia's doing. So now you got NATO troops that just went in there today on the ground. NATO British troops. So pushing equipment to Ukraine. So anything could happen, man. But they're pushing the propaganda war. That's what this is. that we're witnessing right now. It's a propaganda war. All right. So I'm gonna read this article. It says Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, right? Because you got the other spokesman, Lavrov. He came out and said, yeah, Russia didn't strike them damn people. We don't strike civilians. They don't strike civilians. But then he kind of backpedaled and like, yeah, well, we're gonna check with our soldiers. That's just basically saying, yeah, we don't do that. It's impossible. I'm gonna check with them, see if it happened. That's what they're basically doing. And this is the results they got. It said Russian forces do not fire on civilian targets. Period. That's their quote. But what happens when a coward decides to hide amongst those civilians? See, that's what they're not pushing on the media. Right now, they're pushing the propaganda to demonize Russia so they can get an anti-Russian policy in place with people like Turkey, America. On Thursday, he said the Kremlin would look into the incident, see, because they don't fire on civilians. That's the rules. We will definitely ask our military because you and I don't have clear information about what happened there, right? Peskov told reporters and the military are very likely to provide some information, right, man? Because you see, America put it out there quick. Yeah, Russia did it. That's how you know America probably did it. When I first heard it, I was like, they got America written all over it, man. Look at September 11th. Look at the bombing of Mumia. I forgot his name. I think it's Mumia Abu-Jamal. All right. Up in Philadelphia, the MOVE movement, when they bombed the whole damn street. I was laughing about it. Look at what America did in the Middle East or the East. Look what they did in Iraq. All right. Look what they did in Libya. Shit. And they got some nerve talking about a children's hospital with Russia. When Russia like, yo, they wasn't supposed to be there. I'm gonna read it. It says, this is information. So let me read this one. It says other Russian officials took a more aggressive line, rejecting the hospital bombing as fake news. All right, fake news, man. This is information terrorism. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria said the defense ministry later denied having bombed the hospital, accusing Ukraine of staging the event. It said Russian forces at the time had been respecting an agreement to hold fire to allow the evacuations of civilians. So that was their whole focus, is to hold. It was a ceasefire so they could allow the civilians to leave. All right. So you don't know who's doing it. It could be Russia playing a war tactic like chess, and yeah, we ain't do it, but then like boom, just blowing relentlessly. Or is it the clear common sense that the cowards are hiding amongst the civilians? They said it. They're using them as human shields on some streets. All right. So, but Russia like, yo, if you hide behind those civilians, they're done. If you hide in the daycare, you're done. They're gonna destroy it. It's casualties of war. All right. But Russia's saying they didn't do this one. Come on, man. You heard this before. You heard the propaganda. That energy when America's involved and something just happened. Look what they did to the Black Panthers. Now it says this: Russian aviation carried out absolutely no strikes on ground targets in the area. That's from Russia. They said Russian aviation, dealing with their planes, they carried out absolutely no strikes. So how did they strike that place? Maybe it was a But it looked like that had to be a missile from a plane or a jet, an airstrike. But what do you call them damn things? Mortar. Could have been mortar fire, but mortar fire is not. That destroyed the whole building and the ground. Took craters out. So, see, this would be a perfect setup for them to call in a no-fly zone, all right? Due to having to protect children. The alleged airstrike was completely a staged provocation. I'm gonna read that again. Russian aviation, all right, just like America's Air Force, they carried out absolutely no strikes on ground targets in the area. They were just fighting jets. The alleged airstrikes was completely a staged provocation that can deceive the Western public, but not an expert. Ooh, right? And that word deceive go back to the devil. The devil is in the details. All right, deceivers. Foreign Ministry Sergei Lavrov attacked what he called pathetic shouting about so-called atrocities by Russian armed forces. He told reporters after meeting Ukraine's minister in Turkey that the hospital building, right, listen up, that hospital building that they keep showing had for days been under the control of ultra-radical Ukrainian forces who had emptied out the doctors and the patients. All right, so the Virgin, so they're saying, yeah, man. And then the president of Ukraine saying that's a lie. It's like, yo, you just don't know, man. So they're like, yo, they saying it clearly that it was emptied out. That hospital was emptied out by the Ukrainian forces. They emptied out the doctors and the patients. So it was a propaganda, a provocation. Could they have left some children in there? Yeah, you know. But they becoming casualties of war. All right, so I wanted to read this to you, man. Just give you a kind of open mind, and if people seeing it like, damn, Russia ain't playing. They destroy children. It's propaganda. Look how much is getting pushed in your face. It's media. You know, and they're so sure about it. What happened to sending over specialists or examining the facts first? As soon as that joint got destroyed, they like Russia did it. What happened to guilty to proven innocent to proven guilty? Moscow says it is conducting a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify, because those are Nazis. The Nazi mafia runs Ukraine. All right, so they want to denazify Ukraine. Kyiv and the West reject these as false pretexts for an invasion of a democratic country of 44 million people. On Wednesday, the United States denied renewed Russian accusations that Washington was operating a biowarfare labs in Ukraine, calling the claims laughable. Hey, man, see, right now they're having a propaganda war back and forth, but somebody's telling the truth. And I think it's partially Russia, me personally. That's just me. But my opinion doesn't matter in this. We deal with the prophecies, right? So I'm going to get a couple scriptures real quick. Matthew 24 and 12. Matthew 24 and 12. And because iniquity shall abound, right, wickedness has increased all over the world, the love of many shall wax cold, man. So their love for each other is waxing cold. All right, just like it's going to be here in America. You know, the Lord said that the Medes, Russia, when they go to war with this place, Babylon, their bows shall not spare children. So what's that? Casualties of war. So, you know, All right, and the scripture, you already know what the scriptures say about Satan being divided against Satan, because they're all adversaries to Yahweh Shai. They're all adversaries to the children of Israel. So now Satan is divided against Satan, and their love for each other is waxing cold. All right, especially how it's going to be here in America with these people when all hell break loose. All right, so there's a power grab going on, a land grab, as I've always said. There's a land grab going on. And you're going to hear about China kicking up sooner or later. And you're going to hear about North Korea. All right, because this is all part of it. So, yeah, let me get the scripture, man. Haggai 2:22. And I will overthrow the thrones of kingdoms. So the Lord is overthrowing their kingdoms. You know, Ukraine got to go. Then Europe got to go. Then Russia got to go. All of them. They all getting overthrown, man. I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen. So that's right, man. So the Lord is using these nations to destroy each other and break down each other, man, to weaken each other. You know, look at Ukraine. So the Lord is just destroying their strength. Just like America, Babylon. So by this war kicking off, it's weakening America, the economy. And I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them. And the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. All right, look over there in China. Taiwan and the Chinese are the same people. Look at Russia and Ukraine. Those are brothers. They're the same people fighting against each other. That's why Ukrainians is not stepping down, because they got that heart of Russia in them. Even though they call themselves Ukrainians. Look at North Korea. They're the same people with South Korea. All right? So the Lord, you know, the Lord's going to have what? They're going to be destroyed by the sword of his brother. Them sword represent the missiles or destruction. And that's how the Lord is what? Destroying the strength of these kingdoms of the heathens by having Satan be divided against Satan and having the sword of each other's brothers destroy each other. All right, this is Psalms 46:8. All right, yeah, okay. Come behold the works of Yahweh, what desolations he have made in the earth. Look at that, man. The Lord is doing this. The Most High, the scripture says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the Lord have not done it. All right. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth, but breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. All right, he breaketh the bow and he cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am Yahweh. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. So this is the Lord is doing. The Most High is bringing this upon these heathens. The sword, right? That's right, man. 'Cause the Lord ain't playing with these devils. Amos 3:6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? See, the people scared now. Shall there be evil in the city, and Yahweh have not done it? Right, because the Lord controls the minds of men. All right? And he said this. That's right. There you go. Matthew 10:34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. All right? So the Lord is sending the sword and causing these nations to rise up against each other. According to prophecy, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So nation against nation. And then now it's going to be continents against continents. All right? The kingdom of Russia against the United States. These are kingdoms. Okay, so the Lord said what? He came not to send peace, but a sword. Man, this is the Lord's will. Matter of fact, I'm going to get that one. right? Because the Lord is setting them at variance against each other. A lot of those countries, a lot of those people over there in Ukraine, they're the same as the Russian people. They got cousins and aunts and uncles right across the border. And they like, yo, nah, forget that. We fighting for Ukraine. Because they all got the same mindset. That war mindset. I haven't seen too many videos of them crying. You see Americans over here crying and they ain't even in the war. But over there in Russia, Ukraine, he said, yeah, I was just working in a store last week and now I'm holding this gun and I'm going to war, fighting for my country. I was like, damn, where the tears? They ain't scared. All right. Luke 12 and 49. I am come to send fire on the earth. All right. So the Lord is sending fire upon this earth. Don't it look like fire? That sword. Of course, the Lord's coming to destroy with fire, but I'm talking about right here. Look at that. It looks like a fire just eating up this damn place. All right. But the Lord is sending fire on the earth. And what will I if it be already kindled? See, this is the kindling of that fire. This is the kindling of the destruction of Babylon. That's all this represents. That the destruction of Babylon is close. All right. So with that, I'm going to end and say, Shalom.